What's going on, guys? This is Burrs. I want to talk to you today about stippling, and more specifically stippling a Bulgarian AK-74 magazine. Now, a lot of people will kind of, wet their pants when you take a AK-74 magazine, particularly the Bulgarian Circle 10, Circle 21, Circle 25s, like this 25 right here, and they don't want to touch them, they don't want to bruise them, they don't want to hurt them. That's the general gist, because at the moment in time they're very expensive. But through stockpiling them, through when they were cheap, I have a different appreciation. Plus, I have an appreciation for usability and getting something to work better versus having it nice and pretty. Because let's face it, these are used for a reason, not to look pretty. Okay, so I have a different view of it. But let's get back into the specifics of I'd say the how I've gone about making my AK-74 magazines, in my opinion, a little bit better. What I've done is I've gone from just a basic magazine. We'll take this as generation 1 of my thought process here. And this is just a regular, real slim and slick, this is the word I'm looking for. It's very slick, okay? So when you're using it, you can tend to have problems with, especially when I train in, wet environments, rainy, snowy. That's when I really start to pick up on the fact that, okay, this sucks, because it's slippery, it's very smooth. My next step was because I didn't want to stipple it, because I never took the time to actually practice anything and do that. So at the moment when I was thinking of this, I was like, well, this is quicker, this is faster, because stippling is very time consuming. So what I did was I went ahead, grabbed some Krylon paint. I put one coat of that on there, which was the Fusion, which kind of bonds the plastic. And then what I did was I sprayed it with a textured paint, and I'm not sure this is going to show up. Being here, it's kind of textured. It was Rust-Oleum texture paint, which I think they use for patios or whatever. So I sprayed that on here, and then I finished it with another coat of Krylon, just to kind of get a color the way I wanted it. And I gotta say, I like it. It's really fine textured, but compared to this, you got a lot more grip with this one, okay? But the problem long term is exactly what's happening right here. It's gonna wear off at some point. I know that. And it's not a problem, but I'm going to have to, at some point, redo this because of that. But it is an upgrade. More recently, I've actually taken the time out of my busy schedule and grabbed a soldering iron and decided to start stippling things. Here's the reason why. After you start to spend a lot of money on paint and you start to recoat things and you put all that investment into what you're doing to make your stuff better, if you go that one extra mile like me, stippling this magazine, you make it long term, and you don't have to go back and continually do the same thing over and over again. The other great thing with stippling that my one friend mentioned to me, that he stipples a lot of stuff, I'd say as a job, not so much as a hobby. He does a lot of stippling. He said, when you stipple something and you paint it, it stays on there a lot better than if you just kind of paint, just a basic whatever magazine. It grabs the paint and holds the paint better. So with that being said, I went to the store the other day. I grabbed a little under $15, 750 watt, I think is what it was, or 750 degrees. It was 750 degrees. The wattage was not 750 watts. But it was a 750 degrees, watts, whatever you want to call it. This is the cheapest one that was on the shelf. And I brought it home and plugged it in. And I'm like, all right, we're going to start stippling. So I actually started on this side right here. And what I did was the pattern that you can see here. It was a kind of like a polka dot pattern. It was just constant, poking of it and making it kind of the texture I wanted. And from there, as you can see here, I kind of just went down to this side. I did the back side. I kind of melded these little ribs that you see here. I melded those down just a little bit and stippled over them. Then I came to the other side. Now on the other side, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Let me try a different pattern. And what I did there was more of a scratch, just like little lines, okay? So I would just continually do little lines, and I got this pattern. And it's not a very deep pattern, but you don't need the stippling to be deep to be, worthwhile of your time. Because I can tell you one thing, this is a progression, because you go from this to this to this, and each step along the way, it gets better. So if you don't want to, you want to have that chance to maybe take this off and put it back to factory, paint it. If you want it to be functional and you don't care, and you're not gonna, worry about selling it or whatever is in your brain about doing this to your whatever, magazine or gun or whatever, you know, you might want to go the painting route. But if you want functionality and you know you're going to own it and you're going to keep it and you're not worried about selling it, even if you have to, stippling is definitely the way to go. And when I started doing it, you know, I definitely was cautious because I started on this magazine. I could have grabbed a Pro Mag or whatever else, but I'm impatient to a degree and I want things immediately. So, you know, I just started stippling this one. I was like, you know, how hard is it really? So, you know, I took it to this side and I just started, you know, kind of going along the top here and all the way down through, etc., etc. You get the point. But what I can say is this is an immense upgrade that I think a lot of people should look into. Like I said, under $15 for the soldering iron, and this is like the lowest quality one you could probably ever buy. Like it was either 750 watts, 750 degrees, I forget, but it's very cheap, and this is going to get a lot of stippling done for me. And it's already done some other things that I could talk about later. But you know, as far as stippling goes, you know, you don't need the freaking craziest thing in the world to stipple. Now, if you want to do it as a business, yeah, but you know, me just doing something, you know, as a hobby, it definitely gets the job done. Time consuming, very time consuming to do this. Easily probably took me an hour to do this, and a few days, because you do one side and you're like, okay, I'm kind of tired of this. This is annoying. At least that's how I am. But you know, definitely an upgrade. I think it's something people should look at and get into if you're looking to really upgrade, you know, your experience with your firearm. Now, the one thing I will say is, if you don't want it over the whole thing, you could do a pattern. And I had that idea where I had, you know, this part done and I had this part done and I left it smooth in the middle. But ultimately, I just said, you know what, we're just going to do the whole thing. And I was out training the other day, and you know, doing it live, and really saw a difference between when I would grab this magazine and either knock it out or grab it and out of a pouch, compared to these magazines, and even this one to a degree. So a lot of different options with stippling or texture painting your magazine. You know, whatever you're looking to do, you know, it's all based on how you want to go about it and to the future of, you know, what you're looking to do. So that's a little bit of my story with stippling and Bulgarian magazines, and people always kind of treat them with respect, so to speak. But you know, I use my stuff, and I'm not ashamed to, you know, beat the crap out of my stuff because I like it to you know, work, and I'm not gonna know if it's gonna work or not if I don't beat the crap out of it. So, you know, that's my story. That's what I did. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. If you are into stippling, you have any tips or anything you want people to know, put them in the comments down below, or better yet, make a video response. And until next time, later.